All right, let's talk about a piece of Portuguese grammar that kind of gets a bad rap, the passive voice. But here's the thing. Forget all the dusty textbook rules for a second. I want you to think of it as your secret weapon for storytelling, a way to literally control the spotlight in your sentences. Let's dive in and see how it works. So what do I mean by controlling the spotlight? Well, think about it. Every sentence you say is like a tiny little story. And, every story's got a hero, right? Usually, it's the person or thing that's actually doing something. They're the star of the show.
For example, check out this classic, Camões escreveu Os Lusíadas. I mean, it doesn't get much clearer than that. The spotlight is just blasting down on Camões. He is 100% the hero of this sentence. The story is all about him and what he did.
But what if we want to flip the script? What if, for the story we're trying to tell, the real star isn't the guy who wrote it, but the massive, incredible, epic poem itself? What if we want to make Os Lusíadas the hero? How do we do that?
And this, my friends, is where our new tool comes into play. To shift that spotlight from the creator to the creation, we use the passive voice. Seriously, it's like sitting in the director's chair of your own language. You get to decide exactly what the audience pays attention to.
So what is the passive voice officially? It's simply a way to change the focus. Instead of obsessing over who's doing the action, we put all our attention on the thing or person that is receiving that action. It's a really simple shift in perspective, but man, it has a huge impact. And bam, there it is. Os Lusíadas foram escritas por Camões. Look at that. The sentence now kicks off with our brand new hero, the book. Now, Camões is still there. He hasn't vanished into thin air or anything, but he's kind of playing a supporting role now. The masterpiece itself is front and center. See? We've totally shifted the spotlight.
Okay, so that's the why. It's a really cool storytelling trick. But how do we actually do it? Let's pop the hood and look at the mechanics. And don't worry, it's actually way easier than it sounds. There's a pretty simple formula we can follow. It's literally a two-step recipe. First, you take the verb ser, which means to be, and you put it in whatever tense the original sentence was in. Easy enough. Second, you tack on the past participle of the main verb. But, and this is absolutely crucial, that little ending has to agree with your new hero. Escritos is plural and masculine because Os Lusíadas is plural and masculine. You gotta make a match.
So you're probably asking yourself, wait a second, what happened to our original hero? Where did Camões go? Well, he didn't just disappear. He gets a new title and a totally new job in the sentence.
He becomes what grammar folks call the agent. I know it's a fancy name, but it's just the original doer of the action. And in the passive sentence, you bring this agent back onto the stage using the little word por, which means by. So it was written by Camões. Let's watch this transformation live. In the active voice, Raquel compra os bilhetes. Raquel is clearly the hero buying the tickets. But when we flip it, os bilhetes são comprados pela Raquel. Boom! The tickets are the new star. Raquel is now the agent, just playing a supporting role. It's a total role reversal.
Oh, and you might have noticed that word pela. This is a super important little detail. In Portuguese, you can't just say por a. The word por has to merge or contract with the article right after it. So por a becomes pela, por o becomes pelo, and so on. This isn't optional, folks. It's a must-do if you want to sound natural.
But here's where the passive voice gets its real superpower. One of the most common ways you'll see it used is when the agent just disappears, vanishes, gone. Because sometimes who did the action just doesn't matter.
So why would you just ditch the doer? Well, think about it. Maybe you have no idea who did it. Or, let's be honest, maybe you just don't care. Or maybe it was just a vague, general they or people. In all of these cases, you just drop the agent and the sentence gets so much cleaner and more direct.
Look at this. They built new roads. Who's they? The government? A company? Who knows? It's super vague. But if you switch to the passive, novas estradas foram construídas, you get right to the point. New roads were built. The story is about the roads. Period. That's all that matters.
Okay, that's enough theory. Let's see how this thing actually sounds out in the wild. Because in everyday conversation, you're going to notice just how useful and natural the passive voice really is. So, picture this. You're heading home, and you realize the bridge you cross every single day is just gone. You're in shock. You turn to your friend and ask, "What happened to the bridge?" You don't have any info, just a missing bridge. Your friend's immediate, natural response might be this short passive question. Foi destruída? Was it destroyed? Notice something?
no agent. It doesn't matter who or what destroyed it right now, a storm, a construction crew, Godzilla. The point is the bridge's state. It's clean, fast, and totally focused.
Or how about this nightmare scenario? You come back to where you parked your car, and nothing. The spot is empty. That heart-stopping panic sets in and you cry out, "Where is my car?"
What's the very next thought that pops into your head? It's almost certainly a passive one. Fue rebuscado. Was it towed? See, you don't care about the specific tow truck driver's life story at that moment. You care about one thing, your car, the object, and what happened to it. The passive voice is tailor-made for this.
But, and this is cool, just when you thought the passive was all about hiding the doer, it can do the exact opposite. It can put a giant spotlight on them for emphasis. Someone asks, "Hey, was it you who paid for dinner?" You could just say sim. But to add a little punch, you could say, "Sim, o jantar foi pago por mim." Yes, the dinner was paid by me. The passive structure actually helps highlight who did it.
So, as you can see, the passive voice is way more than just some boring grammar rule. It's a real choice you make as a storyteller. It lets you decide who or what gets to be the hero of your sentence. You can focus on the artist or the art, the person acting, or the action itself. You're the one in the director's chair. You're in control of the spotlight. So the only question left is, whose story are you going to tell?